Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar. This is Begüm Gülce from Sorwe. We are super excited to welcome you all. Hope you are having a wonderful day so far. As Sorwe, we are employee experience and people analytics platform. To spread knowledge and know-how, we are gathering business leaders and HR experts to talk about hot topics. And today's topic is all about how you can build company culture. I would like to start introducing our speakers. First of all, Cristobal Alonso is with us today. Welcome, Cristobal.
Hi, Begüm. How are you?
Thank you very much. He is the CEO of StartupWiseGuys, one of the biggest B2B accelerators in Europe, managing more than 220 companies at the moment. He is a very special person to us, not only for Sorwe, but for many entrepreneurs. He has so many titles, and I would struggle to count now, but I will try to mention a couple of them. He is the El Patron. He is a serial early stage investor, the co-author of Perform, Unsexy Truth about startup success, and great mentor and coach on purpose and culture topics. So great to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here and excited to be here, both of them.
And Emrah Erturk, the founder of Sorwe. He's one of the most visionary person that I've ever known, and he's the mastermind behind this employee experience platform. Before Sorwe, he had 20 years of corporate life in multinational companies. From all his struggles to motivate people and keep everyone aligned, he brought Sorwe to life. Welcome, Emrah.
Thank you, Gülce. It is very nice to hear again. So I am quite exciting in this show. Probably we will discuss very interesting things together with Cristobal. So I am looking forward to hear his thoughts about the culture and startup companies. It will be very interesting talking. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Exactly. We are here to discuss a very important topic on how to shape and use culture to achieve a high performance in the companies. So we have so much to cover. I don't want to take more time of you, and I would like to jump to the questions. As my first question, I would like to ask to Cristobal, why culture is important, and how would you define company culture with your words?
Yeah, we start easy, right? So again, glad to be here. And as you well said and well put it, I think culture is something very close to my heart. Interestingly enough, I didn't know this, but I was embedded into this truth of how important culture was in 2004 and 2005. I was working in a Czech company that was invested, basically managed by a bunch of Canadians, including the CEO, Carla D. Stephens. And she was all about culture. I don't even know how much she really understood the telco business, but it was all about creating a powerful organization. And I think anyway who was touched by that, kind of it was embedded in our head, and it just needed the right opportunity to discover why it was that important. I didn't get it. In fact, I launched my first startup right after 2006. I never talk about values. I never talk about culture. I went into the first accelerator support in Lithuania in 2011. I didn't talk about culture. I didn't talk about values. I think it started touching me very much in my last startup in Mobile Free, and when I got to Wise Guys, and people keep saying our culture was very strong, and I keep saying, what is our culture? How would you define that? Right? Why are you red? I think actually probably I discovered because people keep asking, why are you red? Why are you always wearing red? And as everything happens in life, you do things and then you have a story, right? But it's never the story and then you do it. But why we were wearing red? And I go back to your question. So culture is basically a subconscious framework for how things are done in a company. And there is two options. You manage how that happens, or it emerges on its own. Because when you put human beings together, they create a set of rules to describe and to define how do we operate. That's culture at the end of the day. Culture is divided into three things when it's a strong culture. The why, the purpose. So why are we here? What are we going to do together? The vision, okay? And the values, how are we going to do it? If you define those three things and they're defined properly and by everybody in the company, you create a strong culture. So we always talk, and you've been on the Perform workshops about, as a co-founder, you need to own this journey. You need to start from day one talking to your co-founders. Why are we here? What type of company we want to create together, and which kind of values we live for. Why is important if you do this well? And it's important for many reasons. To me, is that every company thinks it's all about brand because they can think externally for customers. Brand is the promise to a customer. Culture is how you deliver this promise. So if you don't have a strong culture, you cannot deliver on your promise to customers. You might at the beginning, when everybody is very passionate and everybody's a co-founder, but when there is 200 people in the company, only all of them align in the culture will allow them to deliver this promise. And the second one, there is 5 or 6, and we'll touch many of them, I'm sure, through the conversation. But maybe the second one is, we are nobody as a startup at the beginning, right? How you compare yourself with SAP? Let's put an example in something that can be in a way related to you with a distance, right? So culture is our biggest differentiator. Culture is the reason why very talented people and passionate people might be willing to give up salary, security to join your dream, because they love to work there. And the reason is because the culture of the company. They don't know maybe, but they step into that place and they said, I want to do that because I believe in those guys and I love the way they work. You just define culture. So it's differentiation, and it's the way for the company when it grows to deliver the promise to customers.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Exactly. We are talking about a lot how to keep people, how to retain our talent in our businesses, and how we can differentiate from competitors. Culture is definitely a competitive advantage today. I would like to ask the same question to Emrah. What is culture for you, and why is it important?
Thank you, Gülce. So Cristobal is approaching to culture more systematically, I think. So I would like to talk about the feelings mostly. The culture is like a taste of the food. So you can go to many different restaurants and you can eat similar foods in different restaurants, but tastes are different, the atmosphere is different. So your experience in different restaurants, even in the similar foods actually. So the culture is like this. It is your color, it is your taste, it is your personality as a company. So you are delivering the similar services to customers with many different companies. But as Cristobal said, the culture is differentiating you in this type of service. On the other hand, is that culture is combination of different things in the companies. For example, the combination of your behaviors, combination of your values, combination of your service type. It is affecting your performance. It is affecting your delivering your services to the customer. It is very important. So we can say that maybe it is a North Star. When you decide to some things during your way, it is a guidance for you. You are taking many different decisions in the life. So if you don't have strong culture, your decision will not be accurate, will not be systematic, will not deliver the same things all time. So it will be very changeable. But if you have a strong culture, it means that you have a very strong North Star. You can give very accurate decisions all time. So, and it will create your personality. It will create your color and your taste during this way. Because of this reason, we are all time suggesting to companies, you need to build your culture. Actually, you need to start to build your culture from day one. And then you can build everything to this structure step by step. But the flat ground floor must be the strong culture.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I really like the idea of finding the right color for yourself, and having culture as a North Star, as you mentioned. It's always a guidance for companies and all the employees. But I would like to come to this point, asking this question first to Cristobal. We are talking about a very long life cycle here, from startups to scale-ups. And if you achieve a bit further, you become a medium-sized company, and you hopefully reach an enterprise level afterwards. It's a very long journey, and you are both very experienced in different parts of this life cycle. As the co-author of Perform, I would like to ask this question, Cristobal. You are mentioning the Perform methodology in your book, and all the letters of the Perform word representing pillars of how we can achieve a robust culture. So can you please talk us through this Perform methodology and the key steps that how startups can start building?
Yeah, I have a funny one. Every time I'm being called very experienced, I think it's a polite way to tell me that I'm getting old, right? So, thank you for that, Megan. So, yeah, but jokes apart, yes, I think we have experience. That doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. I think the last year should have taught to any CEO of a startup how things can be unpredictable, and how whatever plan A, B, or C you had, you got into plan D, because nobody was predicting this pandemic, right? And the larger effects that has not only in society, but in our companies. For us, and I said us because my co-author, Stoyan Yankov, and myself, we were about to publish the book. And it was interesting. We did a reread of the book as how applicable is right now to the current situation. Has anything changed? And to us, it was almost stronger than ever, the message, which is, for companies to perform, to be successful, you need to take care of the basics of the company. So yes, the P is the purpose and values, the why, the how, the what, the culture per se. But we need to be able to plan properly. So we'll talk about afterwards about performance. I think you need to put all these things together if culture is a driving force initially. So we need to plan. Efficient planning is very important. Then we need to define what people is going to do. Everybody's going to talk about cultures of delegating. But you cannot delegate if the roles, but specifically the responsibilities, are not clear. Roles means nothing. A CMO means nothing if we don't know what is he or she responsible of, right? Then we need to be focused and to execute, focus on execution. And in startups, funny enough, focus usually means to say no to many things. So most startups think it's about doing a lot of things. And it's actually about doing almost very few things very well, much better than your competitor that has way more money and it's much bigger, but you have focus on what you're doing. After that, we need to do that, with optimal energy. So this is, you just said it, it's a very long run. I mean, it seems longer than ever when we haven't seen our colleagues in offices for more than 14, 16 months when everything we do is a screen. And you imagine, oh my God, 10 years of looking at my colleagues only on the screen, right? So we need to have that energy for ourselves. If you don't take care of ourselves, who is going to? But for our team. We need to be resilient. We need the mental strength, the mental health to be resilient, okay? And we need to be extremely good at communicating. This robust communication, the second R, to me is even more important than ever. And one part of robust communication is feedback. The ability, and we'll talk a lot, I think, on the Sorwe product, because it's one of the key things you actually can, their engagement feedback, is the ability to give feedback and the ability to receive feedback. As CEOs, some of us might be good at giving feedback. It's so difficult for us to receive feedback when it's difficult feedback, right? And as the company grows, our culture is challenged, and it's not anymore our company, it's our company. So being able to listen to the feedback to our people, to our younger people, to our people in other locations, and do that online becomes fundamental. So putting these 7 things together, we believe that the performance of the company and the chance of succeeding is much, much higher than the 90% failure rate that we see normally in startups. We say that if you do this well, you're 50% probably able to be successful because you're going to last longer until you find product market fit. And then from there is the scalability that matters.
Yep. Thank you so much, Cristobal. You are giving a great roadmap for growing companies. And actually in Sorwe as well, we are adopting this methodology that we highly recommend for all of our audience today to have a look on the Perform book. My next question would be to Emrah. Is a kind of a follow-up question because we talked about 7 very important steps. It's very well structured. However, sometimes it's not that easy and we are facing a lot of challenges coming from corporates. So my question is, you've been always in top management levels of various multinational companies. These were very global names, enterprise levels. So what was the biggest challenge that you were facing from the corporate side when you wanted to implement a new culture, when you were trying to change that culture?
The culture is, sometimes it is a very technical issue, but I said sometimes it is just feeling, what are they feeling in the company? You are trying to create overall feeling, everybody should feel the similar things at the same time in the company. So, but you are collecting the different people from different organizations or different culture, different locations. Everybody has different background in the company. So in the first time, when you collect the different people for the same aim in the company, so everybody is bringing the different behaviors to company, bringing different cultures, bringing different personalities. I think the biggest challenge to clean these backgrounds in the beginning, because if you want to build a culture in the company, everybody should believe to same things. Everybody should behave like a similar type in the front of the problems, or in the front of the customer, in the front of the realities. Because of this reason, it is, for example, you can say that we will apply very transparent and open communication in the company, and you can encourage people for open communication. But if they have different experiences in the history, they are not joining to this open communication. They are trying to hide something in their mindset. They are trying to hide some things. They are behaving completely different just because of their previous experiences. So you are supporting the feedback culture in your company. It is the feedback, giving the feedback is a problem, but receiving the feedback is more difficult for everybody. So if they have completely different experiences and background about the feedback, for example, they were working in a very strict company before, and in the previous company, nobody was giving the feedback in each other, and nobody knows the receiving the feedback. So it is very difficult to adapt this person to feedback culture. It is taking time. But what should leaders do in this type of situation? We need to repeat these messages again and again, many times. We are building a completely brand new mentality in the company. So first of all, we should give the feedback, and then we should ask the feedback from our employees. It is a long journey. We cannot build the culture, or we cannot change the behaviors in very short time, but we need to repeat again and again, again and again. I think the biggest challenge in my life to change these behaviors or previous experiences in the company to building in a new culture.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Let me give you an extra point to add to what Emrah was saying. I have this funny question that people ask me, what would you do differently in life, or professionally at least, if you have the chance? And I will say that I almost in any occasion, I will never change anything, because it's a learning journey, right? And if you don't have it, you don't learn something that you use afterwards. But there is one project that I will always have loved to have a chance to do it again. So when I finished in Lithuania and in Latvia, I went to Telenor, and I was doing a super large billion plus euros transformation project between Norway, Hungary, and Denmark. We created our own team. We created a team of 200 people, involved also a Chinese vendor, etc. And we tried to revolutionize, in a way, how the company was working from within. And we have full support from the European CEO, and from the Danish CEO, and from the Hungarian CEO. So we have the support that we needed to make it happen, and I was the guy in charge of doing all of that. The key idea was to develop a new culture within that team. And I think part of what you're trying to do also in Sorwe goes in this direction. You might be working in a very large company, but you have a big shop with 100 employees that you manage as a manager. Even if you have an influence from the corporate culture, but you can create your own performance and culture in that 100 people team that you manage, right? So we did that, but we missed one key thing. You need to understand very well also the culture of the mothership, right? You can change things inside, but you need to sell it to the outside. You cannot be a bulldozer. You cannot be a maverick in that sense. You can be a maverick within the team and create that amazing culture, but you need to sell it to the outside. You need to sell it to the corporate, because you are part of that. If not, at the end of the day, you will sink, because either you will be seen as an enemy, or at some point you will make mistakes and they will use the opportunity, right? So when trying to change cultures, not in startups, but in very large companies, you need to get a project in which you can create that special momentum. Again, business unit, shop, project, transformation you choose, but you need to understand very well, and you need to invest time, especially if you're coming from the outside, to understand what is the mother company culture. How do I relate to them? How do I slowly start making inroads there? If you try to clash 100% with a huge company, it will kill you. It's too strong. When you're a small company, it's okay. You are creating your own universe. But when you're a big company, you need to also operate within an ecosystem, an environment, and you need to be very much aware of both. If not, no matter how good you are, it will kill you at the end, because there is just too much pressure for you, right? So I think this is important when we're talking about larger companies or smaller business units within companies.
I think these are very important two perspectives. I totally agree on these ones. You talked about Emrah consistency, about sustainability of the idea of having the common culture, and Cristobal syncing the whole idea to the whole stakeholders, aligning with the mother company culture in the root. It's totally very, very important. I would like to move a bit further by asking, I think, one of the most critical questions that we have always in our minds, the link between culture and performance. Numerically, it is very hard to set an equation to show how culture directly affects the performance mathematically. Can you walk us through, Cristobal, how culture directly affects performance, and is there a way to measure it?
No. There is no way. I think you put it very well. There is no mathematics algorithm that will be able to relate culture and performance. I think what we can probably prove through experience is that if we have a strong culture and a strongly motivated people, performance will be very high. Mm-hmm. I think the key mistake, I'm always speaking in, before I go more deeper, I speak in 3 dimensions myself, right? So one, I'm a co-author of a book, so I'm supposed to know something and done some research. Probably Stoyan knows more than me, but I try to put my experience there. I have a portfolio of 235 companies. I see a lot of things. I can take a lot of experiences from each other. But I'm a challenge CEO myself. I'm running a company that it was 3 people. Now we are 40 plus. We were in 1 country. Now we are in 6 countries and growing and expanding to another continent. Right. So I also find the struggle within myself about how do we grow the company. And I think the key thing that we need to do is we need to measure. I think working from home, the data points we used to have in the past, are the company engaged? Is company satisfied? Is people motivated? Is people happy? Is that department less motivated than that department, right? It used to be coffee machines. It used to be workshops. It used to be cafeterias. It used to be all hands, right? Suddenly, none of those things exist. Everybody's working in front of a camera, right? What are the data points that now you have as a CEO to know if Begun in London in the department of sales or Emre in HR in Turkey is or not motivated today? Is or not more motivated than 5 days ago? Is he or she influencing his department to be less motivated, right? So I think one of the key lessons that we're trying to teach everybody, we're trying to coach, we don't teach, we coach people, is can you use data to start making hypotheses, right? So I think the key thing we need to do in HR, call it HR, people strategy, talent, you can use marketing terms if you want to, is we need more data. We need almost real-time data to start understanding how our people is doing. Investors said we invest on teams. That's the only thing we invest, right? Product, markets, you can't change everything. You cannot change the team, right? So my mathematical equation is that if you invest on a team, that team is engaged and that team is hiring engaged people, most likely they're going to do good things. That is going to be affecting the performance, right? So that's the only equation you can do. So I think the key right now, retention is once you have a strong culture, how you use data to make sure that your people is engaged. How you use data to know which pockets of your organization, as a CEO, as a manager, you need to dedicate more time, more human time to talk to those managers, to give more feedback. Who is at risk today to have a mental health issue, and you need to tell, go on vacation. Don't worry, you need to be well. So I think it's that data that we're missing today in many of these large companies. HR is the last thing we want to invest. Who needs HR data, right? Sorry, it's the first thing we need to invest. We need to have data about our people so we can make sure they are engaged and happy. So then we make sure they're going to be performing.
Thanks so much. It brings me even more questions to my mind. So I would try to combine all the topics that you're mentioning and the question sets that we have, and also our guest questions that you are writing on the comment side. So my question would be to Emrah, and it's going to be a bit hard question this time. I would like to summarize it. So we are talking about the HR data, HR analytics. And can you please walk us through how you measure this HR data, which is important to figure out if there is a cultural fit, and is it converting to the performance? And if you can give some examples how you are helping to create company culture in Sorwe for your customers.
Yeah, data and culture is like a chicken and egg theory, so in my opinion, because you in the new world, actually you need to decide through data. All time you need to collect real-time data, as Cristobal said, and then you need to take your decisions. You need to too many insights to build a culture in the company or improve your cultural experiences in the company. But if you don't build a strong culture or consistent culture in your company, you cannot collect data at the same time. So first of all, you need to build the trust in the company. Trust is the main parameter of the culture at the same time. You need to build open and transparent communication rules in your company. It is also another important part of the culture. So finally, if you create a good culture and strong culture, positive culture in your company, at the same time, you will collect more accurate data. And with this more accurate data, you will understand the people better, you will understand your organization better, and then you will improve more and more. It is a very continuous journey. It is not one-shot project to build a culture in the company. So because of this reason, first of all, we will build the transparent communication and trust in the company, and then we will collect real-time data with many systems. For example, as a Sorwe, we are spending a lot of time to identify the right methodology about the data collection in the company. So in previous periods and before times, everybody was asking just surveys, just typical questions to employees. What do you want to do? Which type of things do you like? But the employees were not answering these questions with their own opinion. Actually, because everybody knows that anybody is tracking these questions and answers, and they were not trusting in their company because the companies were not taking action after these insights. But now the methodologies are changing radically. Mostly we are trying to understand these answers from the behaviors of the employees. How are they using suggestion box? How are they using other engagement tools, for example? How are they joining to trainings, and what is their training scores at the end of this period? We are collecting many different of data, and we are analyzing the happiness, we are analyzing the motivation, we are analyzing the corporate communication culture in the inside, and we are analyzing the atmosphere. And then you can take the decision with the right insight in the company, and then you can build a right culture and more positive culture in the company. So it will affect the quality of the insights at the same time. When you build a good culture and good trust in the company, your insight quality will improve when you receive from the employees. So as a Sorwe, we are developing new measurement methodologies, new data collection methodologies, and we are aiming to achieve the most accurate and sustainable insights for the managers or for the leaders. Secondly, okay, you are collecting the insights and you know what should you do, but you need some tools to build the communication in the company. You need some tools for the feedback, to build the feedback culture. You will need some tools to encourage people for the development. And then you will need some tools to measure the performance after all these initiatives. So in my opinion, or I can say that according to our researchers, there is a direct correlation between the positive culture and the performance in the companies, because positive culture is covering many different parts in the company. For example, we are measuring the employee experience score of each company. Employee experience score is a combination of engagement, workforce efficiency, motivation, and healthy life in the company, or well-being. So employee experience score is creating or reflecting the effect of the culture in the company. So when we recognize that, when we increase the employee experience score in the companies, the performance scores, especially individual performance scores, increasing directly. So, and then we can be sure that we built the right culture here, and we designed the right experience, and we have seen the effect of these initiatives in the performance directly. So there are many studies about this, especially the peoples are studying about the engagement. But engagement is also another indicator of the culture, indicator of experience in the company. So when you increase the engagement 8% in the company, it is effect to performance, it's about 3%. So in our many companies, in the Sorwe, we are working with more than 60,000 employees at the moment, And we have seen very, very direct correlation between engagement and performance, between experience and performance, and finally between the culture and the performance.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I would like to move forward to some examples now. And after this, I would like to prioritize our Q&A session as well. So Cristobal, you have so much experience. Again, I'm saying experience, but sorry for your age, with startups and scale-ups. You mentioned you're managing 220 companies, and I'm sure that you have seen so many pivots, so many failures, but also so many success. And can you give us one favorite example that of one of the companies that you had, that you are proud of their company culture?
Yeah, well, hopefully I don't manage 220 companies because I will look even worse than I look. But we have invested in 235, and I try to be an active partner and an active supporter of many of them. Right? I can give you several examples, not one specifically, but several examples on different moments on their lifetime. So I start with a couple. I've been on the board, and this is even a pre-Wise Guys company. I've been on the board of a company called Sorwe. It's been running for 11 years. We are actually in a tipping point on hopefully great news soon enough. But I know the CEO since he was 22. I was at his wedding. They have 2 kids, so we have evolved in the relationship. But they never actually spent time defining the culture. And it was about 2 years ago that when they started redefining or refreshing the brand, I started asking Marius about what is the inside of the company? What are the values of the company? And he said, well, we've never done it. And in a way, they went through the whole methodology about defining your values. And he told me that even if it took 10 years to do it, when we did it was extremely empowering, because the new employees that have come at the end got empowered. The previous employees got excited again. So even if late, it's never too late in a company to do this exercise. Which brings me to my second example, which is Ondato. Ondato is a company that when they came to the accelerator was doing about 30,000, between 20 and 60, depending how you were measuring their revenues. 16 months later today, they're very close to 400,000. So on the minimum, they've done a 10x on revenues. Not on valuations, on revenues. And they went from 30 people to almost 200 people. So this has been very important. They was running for 5 years at the time. And there was, I think we were 20 people at that time. So one of the things they did right after the Perform Methodology workshop is they took the team to a weekend. And the whole team to define the values again. And I remember Liud as the CEO telling me, I've never seen the team so much being a team. Because for the first time, our employees thought they were part of making this happen themselves. It was not the co-founders. It was not the management team. It was the entire team defining together how this company was going to look like in the future. And, they were orange, actually. I remember I never seen more people in that team wearing their orange jumpers all around as they did right after that, right? And now, we're the red guys and they're the orange guys in the conferences. So to me, again, is involving everybody, no matter when you do this exercise, on defining the culture. So it's not a top-down, but a bottom-up. Empowers your team to feel part of this company, right? And maybe the third one I can tell you is it's a company, batch 8, so 2017, so it's been running almost for 5 years. It's from here, from Latvia, Sinos. So Mihails is this guy, is this engineering PhD guy, always wearing a suit and a briefcase. He looked like an old mathematician, right? And he's a very young guy. But it was very interesting when there were 12 people and they needed to grow, how the first thing they did was creating a video for all employees. And how all employees were talking about how they felt they were part of the company. And how, in their own words, they were interpreting the values. They have actually written the values right after this one, But to me, is this idea that how the values can also be a transformative journey for the team and for the founders to look inside themselves and take themselves out of this, in this case, scientists only Latvian in my own office, to open up to the world, because suddenly they need to make a video that can be seen by many, many, many candidates to explain what it means to work here. It's the first time that many people think about what does it mean to work here, right? So to me, it's this exposure and this exercise. So A, is never too late. B, is one of the best opportunities to empower your entire team to feel part of a driving force of this organization. C, is a transformative journey even for the founders to put themselves to talk about these things in front of their own team, on the future people in the team. And then, when you ask me about afterwards about why I invested on you, then I can put you as an example. I have 2 or 3 interesting examples about Sorwe, but I get there when we get there,
Thank you. Great examples. And my next question would be also related with one of the examples that you mentioned, Cristobal. And I would like to ask to Emrah this one. You are working with various companies from different sizes. And I know that with some of them, you start with the young age, with less employees than you are witnessing a growth together with that companies. And can you give some examples how they manage this rapid growth and a sustainable and a strong culture atmosphere? Can you give some examples from the tools they use or what processes they adopt?
Actually, we have different experiences with our customers. Some of customers started with us maybe 1.5 years ago with 30 people or 50 people's maximum. They were really startup companies, just was in the beginning. But after 1 year, 1.5 year, they achieved to 500 people. So I know a few of these type of companies actually. One of is fintech company, another one is retail company. So another one is e-commerce company. They are growing rapidly. The biggest problem in the small companies, the communication is more easy. As a founder or CEO, you know everybody, you can keep your communication with everybody similar. You can understand the people personally because you are talking with everybody nearly every day. But when you grow up, your number is increasing from 30 people to 300 or 500 people within 1 year or 1.5 years. It is very short time to adapt to this reality, actually. So if you don't have any infrastructure about the communication, about the culture parameters like a feedback collection or performance measurements, it is very, very difficult to control everybody. It is very difficult to understand everybody. So everything is starting from the understanding, I think. You need to understand the people, what they need, and you need to understand the atmosphere in the organization, what is happening in the different locations, in the different places. So in the 30 people, 50 people, you can do it very easily. But in 500 people, if you don't have any infrastructure, it is very difficult to understand people. You cannot communicate with each by each, every people. So as a Sorwe, we are starting with the internal communication in this type of companies. In the 30 people, they are recognizing that we will grow faster. And if we build this type of systems in my company, for example, after 6 months, it will be too late. Because of this reason, we are starting from day one. At the same time, it means that this type of startup companies are building their culture from the day one. They are building their communication infrastructure. They are building their feedback infrastructure. They are building their performance infrastructure with the Sorwe. And from day one, we are growing with the organizations together. Actually, they know our tools. They are adapting to high performance and growing culture very well, and we are growing together. The communication is understanding. These are key beginner parameters for everybody, actually, especially for the startups.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. As my final question, then it will go to Cristobal. Why did you invest in Sorwe, in an HR tech and an employee experience platform?
Good question. I think I will say investing is a combination of science and intuition, right? And especially when it's very, very early stage and you have very little data points, at least in terms of performance of the teams. We talk about three things: team, product, and market. Somehow my intuition flipped to invest on you very early. My science took a while longer, and I had to fight a lot internally, right? Because we are different people and have different assessments. On the team, when you actually, it was you, Bevan, the first one that pitched. I did like a lot how you pitched it. I didn't allow that much how Emrah pitched it also, but I challenged him a lot, and I did like the way he was able to come back to the feedback afterwards. So he was not denying or say, "Well, you don't know what you're talking about," but he was constructive, not in the interaction, but not only the interaction, but in the several ones. So to me, the team was strong. There was a doubt about Emrah was a great founder from experience, but coming from a corporate. So could he build a startup culture, right? It was one of the key things that we, through conversations, and they're saying at the end, yes, we believe he can, right? The second one was the market. Everybody in my team hate HR tech. But I think because of when it happened, which was starting in the moment of COVID in a way, right? We realized how the whole engagement and the whole area of adapting what it has been until now, corporate tools to SMB or medium-sized companies was fundamental. Because we know that most SMBs don't have any HR management, maybe apart some admin HR, but they had no tools for this. And this was going to become fundamental for every single company in the planet. So to me, we hated the market, but the moment of the market was the right one. And third one was the product. I talked to a couple of the people that has been working with some HR platforms, and they loved your UX. Interesting enough. And also they love that you did have you were not the same as others. So they could pinpoint differentiation. Of course, it's difficult to sell it like in everything is a red ocean, but there was key areas that we could differentiate. So that was and then there was the science. I remember even the first meeting I asked you, why are you not talking about results? And you gave me the results of one of your customers that have used your application and how engagement has gone up quite dramatically. And then I asked you, good, put me on the phone with them. And we talked to 3 of your customers. Specifically one, we had a longer talk, and they were all very positive, and they were international, not even Turkish, international customers of yours. So they have even at least the advantage of the language or being local, or the long-term relationship with Emrah, who knows a lot of people. So the customer references, which for us is fundamental, they wanted to keep using your product, and they were very happy with the results, and they could measure the results of using your product. So to me, all of that cooked into a clear yes, why to invest in you guys. The funny part, if you ask me. But there was still a lot of questions about Emrah, about, man, he's too serious, he's too corporate, etc. And it didn't go away after we invested. They went away the day he saw up in our progress day. So we usually have after the program lasts 22, 24 weeks. So in the middle of it, week 11 to 13, we do a progress day. And so Emrah saw up there, and he gets his guitar in hand, right? And he starts singing live in front of everybody else, not recorded, but live, a song, right? And probably it's a very typical Turkish rhythm. To me, sounded very much a flamenco style way to sing, right? And I think, there was tears in the eyes of everybody in the batch, every investor that was there, about, wow, this was the corporate guy? Are you kidding me? Right? So to me, that was if there was any doubts about a personal transformation, I think, yes, and if you put it on YouTube, I'm sure it will be a hit, Emrah. It's Sorwe, by any chance, for something really doesn't happen right, you have a plan B as a guitar player there. But that was, I think, an amazing tipping point from the point of view of believing in him. This guy can do it. If he can sing a song like this in front of everybody, out of the blue, he can manage this company and this journey, right? But that was actually to me something that the people will remember for a long time, was that moment, right?
So thank you very much, Cristobal, for these words. I can say that it was a big transformation for myself. As you said, I was just a corporate guy in the beginning. After long term, my behaviors were different, my mindset was different. But first of all, we were sure about our vision. We know that holistic people management was the key for the industry, and nobody was designing to human management processes like us. We were very confident about this. But you are right, I was completely 100% corporate guy. I was very slow. I was thinking that I am very a trust-based guy and keeping myself and my organization safe all time. But we need to change our mindset. You are right. I understood now. I recognize that it was a big transformation for me. I changed my mindset. Now I am becoming more startup guy at the moment. We are deciding faster. We are moving faster. Nearly 80% of my behavior changed when you compare with the beginning of this program in StartupWiseGuys. Really, thank you very much. It was really interesting transformation for me.
Yeah,
that's good. That's at the end what matters, right? If we can transform ourselves, I think we can adapt to whatever comes our way. I will not tell you now, but I will tell you in 10 years when I win the bottles. I bet with 2 VCs and 1 investor on your success. And in fact, this was the key question: is he too corporate? And we bet on you.
Yeah.
I bet positively, obviously. So in 10 years from now, when we do the IPO or the exit or whatever good happens, I will disclaim who bet against you in the big party. Not until then. But I'm sure I will win the bottles. So they are good ones. So don't leave me on the cold on this one.
That's great. Actually, I had a very final question to Emrah about the experience with StartupWiseGuys, but I think we got the answer by becoming more agile and that we transformed Sorwe altogether. So thank you so much. I would like to move to the question part because we have 7 minutes left. And I would like to start with Engin's question. He has a question on the remote working, actually. Especially with the COVID. So his question is, what about the environment of expats in the COVID times? How did you manage to motivate and culturally keep them interactive with the team? So I think it's very applicable to StartupWiseGuys. I know that you were always remote. You were remote, especially in COVID. How did you manage? You are coming from different cultures as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't call anything an expat. I would say we were international from day one, but the idea is about being international and how do you manage. I would summarize the answer in 3 ways. First, there is no recipe, so you need to test, right? So test many things. Every team is different. So we tested cooking shows for our own team. We tested, we do yoga classes. The team does Zumba classes. Some salsa, some things work, some things don't work. Some things work for part of the team, some things don't work for the whole team, right? So experiment a lot what works in the team. One of the key things we do is a big meeting. You can join 20 minutes before to chit chat about whatever. So the coffee, we do coffee days. Now they're trying co-lunching. So once a week, they lunch together in a Zoom call and just work, but lunch together, right? So test many things. Listen what others are doing. Don't think that right, just test it to see if that works in your team, right? So that's one. Second one is put time into it. There is no more secret that if in the past as a CEO, you use 10, 20% time talking to employees, now you need to do 40%. And if he's not talking, he's thinking about it. He's reflecting about it. He's putting management time about it, right? So engagement doesn't happen if you don't invest time. So I think the key thing is you need to do way more investment. And I put the last example there, which is, in the 30th and 31st of December, I call every single employee of my company personally. That means I made 38 calls. It's family time, right? So I invested, I don't know, 17 or 18 hours, but the people appreciate the moment that the CEO is calling them to say, hey, thank you for your efforts. This was a difficult year. I am super glad you're here. I'm super looking forward to next year. Thank you for just being there, right? Being with us and stay on this difficult, it's a difficult time for everybody, right? So to me, it's those personal touches. Andris Versins is a BC in the Baltics, put it to me on, I think, week 3 of the COVID lockdown. COVID is time for leadership. True leaders will show themselves at this time, and bad leaders will expose themselves much more than ever, right? So this is true leadership time, and small gestures with people in these difficult times will mean a lot for the rest of their life. So make sure as a CEO, as a manager, you take time for these small gestures with your team more than ever. So to me, there is no secret recipe, but these 3 things: experiment, invest personal time, show true leadership, are 3. So be the people you want people to be is actually, I think, key and fundamental.
Good. Thank you so much. We have another question from Palvi Sharma. The question is, culture and engagement will build performance. What would you do to create this, and what would be your suggestion for buy-in for senior managers? I can ask to Emrah for this one.
Everybody knows you are not measuring well, you cannot manage anything. First of all, we should start from the measurement. So you need to use right methodology, and you need to get the really accurate insights to understand some things. So when you understand the reality in your company, when you understand the atmosphere, how is going on in some locations or some divisions or somewhere, you can decide what you need very quickly, and you can prove your needs in the front of the top management actually, and then you can sell all kind of needs to the management easily. So first of all, we are suggesting to start with the measurements, and then we need to take action through these measurements, and that we need to prove the results. Okay. Until to this time, so the biggest problem or biggest challenge of HR persons, they had no any data in their hand, and we are giving the data to them now. So in the beginning, you have a data. When you execute your plans or tactics in the area, you will have a data. You will prove the benefits of the results of these tactics, and at the end of the day, you will have a performance scores. So if you prove some things in the front of the senior management, everything will be more easy. I think just I can say that. So everybody will see the direct correlation between the culture, engagement, and the performance. We need to prove it.
Yeah, if you allow me to add to Emrah, maybe I take the soft side of it to give to Pauli more, is you want buy-in, allow your managers to challenge you, right? So said, I'm having even today this big discussion about, is our purpose the what or the why? So is this, you see, we help founders become true entrepreneurs. Is that the what or the why? And we're talking about, we want to be the largest accelerator. And some of my team said, no, we want something more impact driven. We want to be more clear. So you want buy-in, allow your team to challenge you and to build the culture with you. Don't think you have the answer. Don't think it is your company, it's our company. And this is way easily said than done. Because when you want the CEO, even if you're not ego-driven, you want to be right. You want to drive. You don't want to reopen new boxes. You want to close boxes to move to the next stage, right? Allow them to reopen boxes. Allow them to do it together. Because if you get to the answer together, it will be way more powerful. So basically, sorry, you're not the CEO anymore. You're part of the team. Allow them to feel that, and it has something to say, and you will never be a better CEO at that time. And it's, believe me, extremely painful to do it, but it's extremely powerful if you manage. Sometimes we fail. But I think that's the reality. Let's say for people as experienced as you call it, Begun, as me and Erwin, I think it's an opportunity later in our life to transform ourselves. And we have to be lucky that at this age you can still reinvent yourself to be a better you. So don't take it as, oh shit, I know what we're doing, why you're telling me this. Take it as a transformer, as Andrew would say, transform yourself, become a better self. You're just given yet another great opportunity in life to be a better you. So hopefully you can have more impact with your dreams. So to me, accept the challenge. Challenge yourself. Take it as an opportunity and not as a pain in the butt, even if sometimes it feels a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah. So the meaning of the leadership is changing in now. Cristobal, everyone is the leader in the company now. We are not expecting a leader to give the task to us. We need to be leader ourselves in this job. We need to use our own initiatives, and we need to lead our job with our own decisions. We will take the responsibilities and we will lead our jobs in the company. It is very important, right?
Yeah, Nelson Mandela put it very right. When things are tough, put yourself in the front. When things are going well, let others shine, right? So that's what we need to do as leaders, right? So if now's a tough time, lead. When it gets well, let others shine. And then everybody will be leading because they feel the shining also.
Yeah.
Well,
Great.
I think we have to conclude with all these wide sentences now. We talked a lot about what's the importance of the culture, how we can create it, the link between culture and performance, and great examples from both of you. And yes, definitely, we have to work on becoming better selves every day, not only today, tomorrow, and upcoming days, and being a leader by ourselves as individuals. So I would like to conclude with a special offer from Sorwe for all of our attendees. We are offering a 3-month free trial for Sorwe with our all features. If you log in and if you can send us an email from info@sorwe.com, we will activate your account for 3 months for free, starting from today. It was a very productive session for me and hope you enjoyed all. It was very fruitful and very good of thought. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you very much, Cristobal, for joining us, and Emrah, thank you for your time.
Belun, last thing, we are using Sorwe. So we're not just telling people we invest, but we're using it to prove that I think it works, right? So we're putting our mouth where our money is in this case. So you can also call us for a reference if you have doubts about it, and we'll tell you what is our experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Good to be here. I'm glad all the audience for the questions. Follow up with emails, whatever you need, okay?
It was very enjoyable together with you again. Thank you very much. Ciao.
See you soon. Ciao, guys.